6:30 and it's pitch black outside. Fantastic conditions to work on a car. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel and another video and part 3 of our E30 Rebuild series. Today we're putting in the motor into the car and we're gonna be hooking everything up and hopefully starting it if everything works. It's actually nighttime because it's dark already here in Utah, but we got the motor ready to go in. I know it's a crazy angle, but we'll get it in. So everything's cleaned, it's looking good. Got the alternator on last night, but everything's good to go. Got a 5-speed on there, and that's about it. So I'm just gonna dive right in because there's not a lot else to talk about. We're just gonna go ahead and try and throw this thing in and get the engine mounts bolted in. And I will actually show you my upgraded engine mounts first. All right, so here are our Garagistic polyurethane 80A engine mounts, and then we have our trans mounts. I also got a small shifter rebuild kit from them and a stainless steel clutch line. So we'll be putting all that in, but those are the new motor mounts. I'm excited to try them out. They should be a lot better than the broken, worn out ones that came out of the car. But we're gonna go ahead and attempt to get this motor into here and then hopefully start it. So let's just dive right in. Alright, you guys, as you can see, the motor is in the car now, which is very, very exciting. So we got the motor, 5-speed trans in the car. I got a few things hooked back up. I got the power steering pump back on real quick and the AC condenser back on. And then I just got all this like coolant lines and whatnot. Those are all put back on. So I just did a few little things, but now I really have to dive in and start plugging everything back in, which is going to be a process, but we'll get it done. So we have the whole wiring harness put back on the motor. And then one problem I did have was this was the trans brace that came with my manual swap from the guy that I bought it from. And it turns out to be for an E36. I'm not quite sure how they got that, but we got a jack supporting the trans right now. I ordered a new OEM manual transmission cross member, so that'll be here in a day, and then we'll put the transition mounts in and then we'll do all the trans stuff. But I'm gonna get the motor hooked up completely first, so I'm just gonna throw it on a time lapse and we'll just get all this connected and get as much done as we can. Alright, you guys, it's a new day. I didn't get a lot done last night because it got really cold, but we got some new parts in today just in time to finish this and hopefully drive it this weekend. So here's our OEM cross member. So this is a brand new part from SCP Euro. It's the manual trans cross member. And then we got a bunch of exhaust hardware. That's for the headers onto the block. And then this is for the exhaust onto the headers. And then we also bought a socket for draining the transmission. It's a 17mm hex, in case you're wondering. And this was only $7, and they're like 10 wherever I can find them. And then we also have a center support bearing for the drive shaft, replacing that. And a coolant level sensor for the overflow. This was only like $5 off Rock Auto, so I figured I'd replace it while we're at it. And that's about it. So, just on a cargo new parts we got in, but now we're gonna start throwing the wiring back into the car. Alright guys, we got a lot done in that time. I didn't film everything because it was kind of hard because I was jumping all over the place trying to get stuff done. But in that time, we tore apart the interior, got all the plastics out of the way, got the automatic shifter out. If you're wondering, there's just 2 bolts on the top and then this plug, and then it comes out. And we got the, well, you can't see that, but we got the brake pedal out, like the pedal assembly, so we could put the manual pedal assembly in, which we have right here. So that still needs to go in. We got the soft line for the clutch somewhere in here. Oh, right here. Push through the firewall. The motor is pretty much done. All of the lines are in. So, and then got the headers back on. We had to drill a couple bolts out and replace them, and then I got some like spray paint ceramic coat and did them in black, and they actually look pretty good. So, and then we got all new hardware. And so my goal for tonight is to get the radiator in, and then it already has oil in it, and we'll put some coolant in it, and I think I'm gonna fire it up. The drive line's not connected, so really nothing in the trans is connected, so that should all just be good to spin, or I think the trans is in neutral. So this is kind of the moment of truth. We're gonna see if it starts. So I'm gonna throw the radiator in, put some coolant in it, and we'll clean everything up, and then we'll see if it fires up for the first time. Okay guys, we got everything in. We got the radiator back in. If you haven't seen my install on this, this is the Amazon aluminum radiator that I bought. Everything's cleaned up. We got the air box back in, MAF plugged in, all that stuff plugged in. So, got the battery back on, we got power. So, I'm gonna prime it first with no fuel. I pulled the fuel pump fuse, and then prime it a couple times, try and build oil pressure if everything works. And then we'll plug the fuse back in, see if it fires up. I'm not gonna run it for that long. It has no exhaust on it, so it's gonna be very loud. But I just wanna see if it works before I continue with throwing the whole drivetrain back in. So let's see if she starts. All right, well, we had 1 or 2 issues on the first fire up, which I'm not surprised. You know, it's the first time I've ever swapped a motor, so it was pretty good. But here's what happened. We started it, or it wouldn't start, wouldn't crank at all. So obviously the manual swap isn't done yet, but it still required the brake switch to be hooked up, which it wasn't. And then I still had to have the shifter plugged in and in park. So when I do finally put that in, I'm gonna have to figure out how, I'm gonna have to read a wiring diagram and see how to get rid of that. But that was the first issue. So when it thought it was in park, it cranked just fine. But as soon as it built fuel pressure to the rail, I had 2 bad injector O-rings, like right here. So they started spraying fuel out, and I don't really want to start it while it's leaking fuel. So we're just gonna leave it there. I can get injector O-rings locally, so I will pick some up tomorrow. And we will replace the injector O-rings, which I should have done from the beginning, but you live and you learn. So we'll replace the injector O-rings, and then I can finish the manual swap, which shouldn't take too long because everything's almost done. And I will give you guys more info on that as I'm doing it. But so for now, we're just gonna go get injector O-rings, and we will try and start it again. All right, you guys, here is an update. I pulled the injectors out to do O-rings on them, and the tips, get that to focus, maybe. Anyways, I don't know if you can see that. The tip on the injector literally degraded and fell apart on 2 of them, and the other ones are not doing good. So I went ahead and bought a reconditioned set of injectors from CA Tuned in California. So these are basically the only thing left on the injector is the body. They basically replace everything else. O-rings are new, everything inside, the filters. So they look really good. So I just went ahead and bought a new set because obviously those weren't gonna work and the rest of them were just gonna fall apart. So we'll just replace all of them at the same time. That should solve our fuel issue. And then while we were at it, I got fuel hose to replace the soft lines to the rail and the regulator, because as you can see, that is just falling apart and they are rock hard. So we're gonna get the new injectors in, get the rail hooked up, get the lines hooked up, and then we're going to try and start it for the first time. The other thing I got done in the meantime was I got the pedals in. So we got a clutch pedal, and the shift linkage is pretty much in. I just have to put the selector rod in. But that should give us everything we need to start it. So I'm gonna get the injectors in, and then we will check back and try and fire the car up. All right, you guys, if you've never installed injectors before on an E30, it's pretty easy. You can get the rail off without taking off the intake manifold, even though it kind of seems like you can't. And then these are the new injectors. I already put all of them in, so it's real quick. Make sure you put some type of lubricant on the top O-ring when you're putting it on. You don't want to pinch it and tear it. That's how you get fuel leaks. And then they basically just pop in, and then you have these retaining clips, and then you kind of see where they go, but they basically just slide on the top. Wrong one. like that. And then it's stuck in there, so let me get the rest of these on and then we'll throw them in the car.
Just keep it?
Yeah. Alright you guys, that is where we're going to end the video today. We ran into some issues trying to start the motor. So we have good fuel with our new rebuilt fuel injectors, and everything in the intake system is pretty much new. Got a new filter, everything's replaced. But we ran into some trouble on the ignition side. We were getting good spark in the back cylinder, and then it kind of faded out towards the front. And I made sure everything was plugged in right. So I'm guessing it's a coil because that seems like that's what it'd be. But that's brand new, so I'm not 100% sure. So if you guys know or have any thoughts or ideas about what it could be, please let me know in the comments. But we got a lot done. A lot of stuff installed. The car's pretty much ready to go. We have the drive shaft ready to go in. That's the next thing to go in, and then the whole bottom side can be buttoned up. We got the guibo on, manual specific guibo, keep that in mind, and drive shaft, which is also manual specific, and we got a new carrier bearing put on. So this is ready to go in, and the inside is pretty much good. We got to do the wiring still, which I will cover. Otherwise we have this plugged in. And then got the manual in. Shifting just fine. Clutch engages. We bled the clutch, got all the new master and slave cylinder on. So that's all in. So the car is pretty much buttoned up, but we still got a little bit of work to do. So I will do that in the next video, and hopefully we'll start it in the next video. So don't forget to subscribe so you can follow along with this. I will also put in the other 3 episodes about pulling this, redoing it, installing it, everything. So don't forget to leave a like. Let me know if it was helpful in the comments, and if you have any advice, please let me know. It would help immensely. So I will see you guys on the next video.